So one of America's so-called top political predictors made a bold claim. And guess what? He got it completely wrong.
Professor, all right, here it is. Who will win the next president of the United States?
According to the keys to the White House, which have been right for 40 years, we are going to have a precedent-breaking victory. Kamala Harris will be president of the United States.
There's a history professor out there by the name of Allan Lichtman. This name might sound familiar to you if you've ever seen CNBC or Reuters or CNN videos. They pretty much call him the Polling Nostradamus.
I predict a new path-breaking president, our first woman president, and America's first president of mixed African and Asian descent, which kind of foreshadows where the U.S. is going.
It makes you wonder, how the heck did Allan Lichtman get famous for his prediction model, but yet he still missed so badly? For those of us that are C students and not history nerds, Nostradamus was a famous French astrologist. Consider him to be kind of like the Tom Brady of election predictions. Before this election, he predicted 9 out of the last 10 elections correctly. But now, I guess you can make it 9 for 11. Because he got this last one wrong as hell.
I'm starting to get a little nervous.
Yeah.
She needs to make up 170,000 votes.
I don't see it. The big Democratic counties are mostly in.
No, well, yeah. Shit.
I just don't see it. Good thing I have nothing to do tomorrow.
Yeah, I took off work tomorrow.
And I'm not doing any interviews.
Good.
I'm done with that.
Now, this is something that we all see from time to time because most people don't claim to be experts and get it wrong all the time. But you see, Allan here, he's different. He thought his keys could never be wrong.
But if you're going to use my system, you've got to stick with how I define the keys and how I've answered the keys for 160 years, from the election of 1860 and the horse and buggy days of politics to the election of Biden in 2020.
You see, Lichtman's predictive model, known as the keys to the White House, has become a legend in the political circles. This is not some random crystal ball guesswork. It's pretty much a system where he claims to have been dead accurate for every election since the 1980s. That's right, we're talking about decades of supposed predictive mastery here.
Oh my God! Wow!
Now, the whole shtick of his whole keys to the White House model is actually pretty clever. Lichtman sets up a list of 13 keys, which are essentially yes or no questions about the state of the country.
Well, my system is 13 true-false questions where an answer of true always favors the re-election of the party in power. It's based on the retrospective study of every election, from the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 to Ronald Reagan in 1980, and it's based on the theory that elections are primarily referenda on the party holding the White House. So I look at the big picture.
Is the economy booming? Is there social unrest? Has there been a scandal? If enough of these keys turn negative, his model predicts that the sitting party will lose the presidency. It sounds scientific enough to make people believe he's found some sort of golden formula, and for years, he's ridden this wave of credibility. He nailed it with calls like Clinton in '92, Bush in 2000. Honestly, he even predicted Trump's win in 2016 when most people thought it was a joke.
The economy, foreign policy, third parties. And the way it works, if the party in power has 6 of these 13 going against it, that's the Democrats now, they're predicted losers. And by my system, the Democrats have 6 negative factors against them.
So yeah, this guy built up a serious reputation. We're talking about a guy who's seen as practically, undeniable in predicting who's going to be in the Oval Office come January, which honestly makes it more hilarious because he just massively dropped the ball on his latest prediction. For some reason, I don't know why, Lichtman went all in on this idea that Kamala Harris was the sure bet. Maybe he thought he was seeing something that the rest of us couldn't.
Okay, so if let's say that Biden has 7 or 8 or 9 of the keys on his side, right? Or any candidate, forget Biden. But every day he comes out and does a press conference and punches himself in the face. And people are like, whoa, what the hell's going on? The president's lost his mind. Do the keys still say that he's going to win?
Well, this is something I've never heard before, the punch in the face theory.
Yeah. I'm giving you an extreme example. Or the candidate comes out and every day punches a new baby in the face. Are you still going, nope, I'm sticking with the keys. 9 out of 13 keys, the keys will determine.
Of course, I'm sticking with the keys because they've been right for 40 years. You can't predict elections from this kind of off the top of your head speculation, which is why I've been wrong so many times. It doesn't work.
You know what they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I think the bigger issue here is that if Allan Lichtman, the great Nostradamus, the master predictor, could get this wrong, what does that say about all expert predictions in general? Not just politics, but, economics in general. Maybe it's just time that we start looking at some of these so-called experts with a grain of salt and some skepticism, if you ask me. Because here's the thing. Even the pros can be wrong. Sometimes they're just glorified guesswork with a nice track record if you really think about it. But here, everyone seems to be against Allan. I guess mainly people with half a developed brain, that is. Even CNN is calling him out, of all places.
Were the keys wrong, or was your interpretation off this time?
I think the fundamental problem was the keys, not my interpretation. No one's convinced me that was wrong. There are unique features. I've always said, some unique features could break the patterns of history, and I think that's happened here. First of all, a unique feature specific to this election. And you've heard me say this before. I was very critical of the Democrats for openly and viciously trashing their sitting president right out in public. I have never seen that before, and I've studied politics since the founding. And we've seen the explosion of some trends that have existed before, but not to this extent. Disinformation. Elon Musk is, I don't know how many hundreds of billions he has. He has been the director of misinformation. 2 billion views of his spreading of disinformation, not just about the economy, but about immigrants, about minorities. We've never seen disinformation at this scale. Next, we have never seen to this scale the agitation of 3 trends that have been very deeply embedded in American history: misogyny, racism, and xenophobia. The first anti-immigrant law was 1798, and Donald Trump wants to revive it.
So they hit his ass with the whole "we got your ass in 4K" reply. Pretty much checked him and let him know, hey, why did you let us think that Kamala was gonna win when it wasn't looking that way? And to make it even worse for him, there's so many people celebrating this. There's people ratioing him in his comments on his own YouTube channel. They're literally laughing at the expense of this guy.
Side comes in, the blue MAGA guys who at the time thought Biden was going to win. And they're like, oh, Cenk, he schooled you. You can punch a baby in the face and still win as long as you have more keys than the other candidate. He got you. He got you. He's definitely right and you're definitely wrong. That was so embarrassing, Cenk. You don't even believe in the keys. All of a sudden, Allan Lichtman is like, wait, where did I put my keys?
Yeah.
Looks like he lost his keys somewhere, isn't it?
And lucky for him, I guess he's taking it kind of well. Or the best he can, because he's in full-blown damage control mode, trying to save his reputation.
Well, if it calls into question the premise of the keys, what about the fact that the pollster Nate Silver says that he used your keys to predict a Trump win?
See, Lichtman's theory behind Kamala was simple, or at least he thought it was pretty much foolproof. She was the Democratic vice president, she was supposedly well known to the American public, and to him, she was pretty much locked in to take on the Democratic torch. It was a done deal. But that's exactly where things started to unravel. Lichtman seemed to ignore a few critical points like, I don't know, the actual public opinion of Kamala Harris.
So they sent Obama to come get us and bring us back to the Democratic plantation. They sent Obama back to come get us. He insulted us. He said, I was highly offended when he said the only reason we voting for Donald Trump is because we don't want a woman in president, so we come up with, yo, nigga, shut up. Shut up. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for a lot of us. Fuck out of here. You gonna tell us what we think? Come on, man. Who the fuck are y'all? That shit pissed me off, man. Fuck out of here. You gonna tell us how we need to think and what we should think? Man, shut up, man. Fuck out of here. You gonna bring Barack Obama. He gonna play us. First, y'all call us low-informed voters, low information voters, misinformed voters. Now you want to come out and throw my mama in this shit. Fuck that. If my mom's was president, I ain't voting for her. My grandmother could be my own. I wouldn't vote for them either. If they got the same radical policies. Shit pissing me off, man. Watching this video with this motherfucker, man. This dude gonna come up here and tell us how we need to think. Yo, get the fuck out of here, man. Go back to the White House. Or wherever you came from, Barry. Now you want to address us like brothers. I ain't been your brother. Where was you at 2008, Negro?
Despite what the left-wing media may say, her approval ratings have been, let's just say, less than stellar. You see, Lichtman's prediction might have made sense on paper, but it's like if you're just counting job titles or, political proximity, true to power. Sure, she did look like a frontrunner, but in reality, people weren't exactly rallying behind her. Not even Beyonce, not Meg Thee Stallion, not Glorilla, none of them could get the people behind her. She was basically hiding from interviews for months, dodging podcasts, ignoring advice from other advisors outside of her campaign.
When you and I were speaking at one point earlier, you were talking about algorithms, all kinds of data that was available that you were, people were going to be presenting to the Harris campaign.
Sure.
And I suppose you're going to say that did fall on deaf ears to a large part?
Yeah, Van's right. They were like, no, we've got it.
We've got it.
And they didn't have it. And one very obvious missed opportunity is that Joe Rogan is the biggest audience in the country. It's disaffected, low propensity men, kind of the audience that the Harris campaign should be trying to reach. It was much more upside than anything else. Kamala goes on, Tim Walz goes on, and then you have millions of men who are exposed to the Democratic message, and they turned it down because she was too busy. I mean, like it makes zero sense, except in the context that the team just didn't have confidence in her to do it, which would be its own issue.
Unless you think he's being mean. 48 million views for the Rogan-Trump interview on YouTube alone.
Which was what, a 3-hour interview?
The 3-hour interview with 48 million views.
There was just no enthusiasm from the Democratic voter base. Most people just did not care. They weren't fired up, similar to the Republicans, who had a ton of early votes and a very energized support base. She just didn't have the public momentum that Lichtman and the rest of academia seemed to think that she had. It was like he was so deep in his own theories, he forgot to check if anyone actually agreed with him. That goes to show you, even the so-called experts, you get caught up in wishful thinking. They think they see a pattern and they start bending reality around it, ignoring what's actually happening in front of them. So Lichtman isn't alone out here. How many times have we seen experts just completely miss the mark? It's almost like they forget to check in with reality once in a while. So the $1 million question is here. How does someone who spent years of their life, years in the game, analyzing data, fine-tuning models, end up with predictions that are just way off base? The pros can get tripped up by something pretty simple: their own overconfidence and arrogance. You see, there's this little thing called arrogance. It's basically the idea that the more experienced you are, the more likely you are to believe your own hype. And Lichtman isn't the first to fall trap to this. Experts in the fields of politics to economics, these are people who've spent their careers studying patterns and predictions. They start seeing themselves as nearly untouchable. Not only do they think that they're always right, they just can't believe that they could be wrong. So it turns out, even arrogance can cloud even the sharpest minds. And this is exactly why it pays to be skeptical. Just because someone's got a fancy title or track record doesn't mean that they're immune to making mistakes. We're human after all. In fact, the more successful you are, the bigger the blind spots become, and they can develop pretty quickly. So next time you hear an expert make a bold prediction, maybe take a second to ask yourself, is this fact or is this just a very educated guess? The bottom line is, even the most respected experts are human, and they bring their own biases to the table, and it's up to us to question those predictions, because sometimes even the smartest people in the room are just really confident people, and confidence doesn't equal truth, guys. So what do you guys think? Are expert predictions worth trusting, or should we take all of these forecasts with a serious grain of salt? I want to hear what you guys think down below. And hey, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and tune in for more. But you already know, it's been your boy. I'm signing off till the next time. Stay lurking, continue to question everything, and I'll see you on the next one.